Very good. So this is the Town of Fairfield Conservation Commission meeting for March 18th, 2026. I apologize for the technical difficulty. So if anybody's online that was waiting for us, you're in the right place, but it took us a few minutes to get started. I'll take roll. Lucas Thomas, Dabney Bounds online, Richard Boucher, Peter Hood, Jay Payne, he's here, but he's online. Salvatore Vassallo is here, Kate Mahoney's here, Ted Luxinger's here, and Dan Saunders is here. No need to appoint alternates. If we can stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Moving on to number 4, approval of draft meeting minutes, Conservation Commission meeting, February 25, 2026. We did notice one there through on page 4 that it had in staff reports number 2B, remove invasives. That's the one you were talking about, Diane?
Yes.
Another one?
Yeah, I got one.
Yeah, which one?
I don't want to interrupt. Was Diane doing something?
Go ahead, Peter.
Go ahead.
Just the last line under other, it says banning anticoagulants, swallow level need to get support from per select person. That's not true, so. I'm not really clear where that came from. It just looks like a stray thought.
Banning and
Yeah.
we'll need to get.
We wouldn't really need her involvement. I would hope we would have her support, but we don't really need her involvement. So I'm not really clear where that came from. Just looks like a stray thought.
Okay.
I may have mentioned that I was gonna meet with her. and
Could be something like that. It's just like a stray thought that.
Yeah, it shouldn't be an agenda item, because it really gets to the RTM.
Do you want that removed?
Yeah.
Commissioners, would you prefer to have that whole sentence, banning coagulants for town removed?
Yeah, I can take that out.
You remove that.
I absolutely
Okay.
would want her support.
Yeah.
For this particular thing, it's.
Okay, excellent.
All right, I'm sorry, were they approved as amended? I was looking at them.
Oh, so,
I have one more question.
yes.
The line above that ice fishing at Lake Michigan, it says NCON set of that it's okay.
Yes.
What is that? NCON?
NCON is was that the
That's the
department?
Deep's Environmental Conservation Police.
Oh,
There's state police
And that
for
was
the environment. Yeah.
That was Tom.
Commissioner Boucher here was the one that told us that they can do it. So,
Yeah, they have the same authority as state police have.
yeah, you remember the conversation.
It's just your own risk.
Yes, right. Yeah. So it's the invasives instead of in cases and then removing banning anticoagulants. Those are the two corrections. There's nothing else. Is there a motion to approve as amended?
Make the motion to approve.
Anybody second?
Second.
Second. So all in favor? Aye, all around. Okay, very good. Thank you. Number 5, new business. It's a presentation, shining light on truth, Fairfield and slavery. Okay. Is that? Oh, hello.
That's me. Hi, can I share my screen?
I would think so.
Okay, I don't know.
If you can just state your name really for the record, even though we know, but
Sure, it's Mary Hogue, and I'm on Sustainable Fairfield.
thank you.
Get that away.
Harry.
Hi. Let me, oh, sorry, I'm trying to close this up. Okay, so this is our slide presentation. I did send it to Tim and your chair, so you do have in a PDF form, so you have a copy of it if you want it. I didn't do it till today, so I'm sorry about that. So Sustainable Fairfield has 7 committees. This is from the Equity Committee, And we're requesting to be able to put signage similar to the signs in the town hall green. As you can see, they're the same. This is one of the museum signs, and it will be from the same manufacturer. So we're using the same concept of a graphic with text, and we talked about a QR code. We did go before the historic district as a pre-applicant, and they were very supportive. Oops. So I'll just leave it at that. Um, and we're going to Parks and Rec in April. Um, so the point of this is to point out information about our town's history that a lot of people don't know. We have a website, a web page on the town website that I could also share with you. It's a 30-minute video of a researcher that we're working with, Alec Lurie, who had also worked with the museum to update their permanent collection related to Black people in Fairfield. So it's not just the enslaved era, it goes up through the 1950s. So I don't want to read a slide, so we'll just keep going. Why is this not going now? Okay. So there are five sites. Sorry, I don't want to get your eyes screwed up. There's only one of the sites that is of issue for this commission. It's not that town hall, and it's not at Sasko Beach, but it is at Ash Creek. So we have for each site two options. The one we're recommending here is, I believe, Parks and Rec, but our backup site is on your property. So what we're asking, I can show you if you want to see the last two sites, but this is really the only one that affects you is this option here. So do you want to keep sharing the screen to have the discussion, or how do you want to do that?
It's your presentation, however you'd like to present whatever it is you're presenting to us.
Well,
That's-
this is the only site that's relevant to you. So so you can see the other sites, there's one at a pocket park across at the corner of Oldfield and Reef, and then there's one at Gould Manor Park. So just to know why, but again, only this site in particular is under conservation.
I have a quick question for Mary.
Mhm.
So so where the circle is for option 2, where would that be specifically? I mean,
It's
I
this
see the circle,
specific-
and I see where the skate park is. Would it be back in that corner along the path, or?
Well, what I can't do anything with all these things on my screen. So what we're trying to highlight for people is that the Black people were using this area for clamming and eel spearing. So we wanted to be able to have a view of the Ash Creek where they were doing this work.
Mhm.
So these are options if you all you know the area better than we would. So if you feel there's a better option that's in your jurisdiction, we'd be very glad to get your advice.
Why would you not get the recommended option from Parks and Rec?
We haven't gone before them. We thought we were going on their agenda tonight, and we found out this afternoon, that we aren't. So we have to wait till April 22nd to talk to them.
Well, I think that if they needed option 2, I think that if that's what you feel, I think I do know where that is. If that's, yeah, right?
Well, I understand Dabney's a little bit too, because you're dealing with
Back in the open
Parks
space.
and Rec property and conservation properties kind of butted right together, and I kind of agree with Dabney. I see what you mean, but I don't. I'm having trouble picking it out.
Well, I mean, we don't really like.
Because the skate park is really on the opposite side, away from water. I don't really be on the other side.
Just to.
Yeah, a sign acknowledging the option to history of the space.
Trail down to the.
That's what I would have thought.
Yeah.
Right. We call that some people call that the finger. because
Right,
it's like a finger, you walk out on it. So that, right, I got you there.
right.
They really want to see.
I know.
So I mean, I think it would be showing the history of how that space was used. So I don't,
Okay.
I mean,
Pretty out of.
I think that that would be an appropriate
It's in the open space.
something for conservation
Space.
space and that it's describing. how that
Oh,
was.
okay.
Right. I guess I'm a little confused because I don't,
Right.
is that open space or is that Parks and Rec? Because that's right along the beach there. I mean, if the very bottom of the screen, if I'm reading this correctly, is the entrance to Penfield. So isn't that part of Penfield Beach there?
It's the entrance to the pier that would people go fishing, the one with all the flags.
Option one is Parks and Rec, Dabney.
Right. No, I understand that, but I didn't realize option two, I thought that was Parks and Rec land.
That's,
You know,
that's at the beginning of the piece that juts out where everybody walks their dogs
Maybe.
on the other side, yeah.
That's not.
No, yeah. The part where everyone, that you access from the estuary?
Yes.
yes.
Yeah,
It's over,
isn't that the finger that comes
What I thought.
out and touches the island? Or almost touches the island?
That's what I was just pointing at.
That's
That's
It's at the beginning of the finger.
Okay, so you're talking,
At the entrance.
you want to do this
Goes down this way, the finger.
back here? I'm
Yeah.
a little confused about this, Mark. So you're talking about back here more to where the parking area is.
Exactly.
On our open
I don't know if you can see that, Danny.
Yeah, I can. It's all right, whatever. I mean, I trust it.
Daddy, I think it's down where we
Straight.
do, the estuary trip.
Yeah, and there's a boat launch there.
This is-
You know where the boat, where they do the, where they had the clams set up? for the
Yeah,
est-
no. I totally understand that now. It's all good.
More in
Yeah,
reference
thank
to the helipad, really. The helicopter landing area, closer to that in terms of reference.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So
Mhm.
it's
There's
just,
the boat ramp and the canoe launch and.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, back in there.
It's, I don't think it's a bad location. It's pretty.
No, on signs, I mean, now, I understand the topic, but it's signs, people came in front of us with benches and other signs and things, we don't really do it. So,
I wonder if it makes more sense, Mary, for you all to see if you get the approval from Parks and Rec. And then come back. Because if you get it from Parks and Rec for option one,
We
this
don't
is a
need
moot
it.
point.
Right. We had thought that we were going to be on their agenda tonight, so.
Yeah, no, I understand.
What's the
Okay.
plan?
all right, well, we can see what happens then.
Yep.
Reach out to Tim, next month.
At least we know now. we're-
If you need to. If you don't need to, then.
Yeah, well, you guys meet at the same time on the same night, so it's a little hard to
Oh,
coordinate efforts that way.
yeah.
Okay, well, we can accommodate when the time comes. Start early or start late.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you, Mary. I love this project.
Mary, thank you so
Right.
much.
Thank you.
all right.
Thanks.
So, moving on, new business to number 2, anticoagulants. Is that Commissioner Hood?
Yeah, so, I mean, I did update this, the handout, I think, I don't have to really, we're dealing with educated people here, and I think we all know what this is about. I felt that it wasn't clear discussing the vitamin K thing. I thought some of the issues about the mesopredator, it just wasn't really clear to me, and so that's really the changes I made. I think for me, it's an easy sell. You even see this on Nextdoor. You see people talking about birds getting poisoned. I think that part is an easy sell. I think what frustrates me is when you dig a little deeper, you start understanding that there's necrophage. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but those are organisms that feed on dead flesh. And unfortunately, those insects and fungus and various other things, they're getting consumed by possums, skunks, raccoons. And you start to learn that this isn't just the raptors and the eagles that we think of.
All wildlife.
All wildlife. And it's very troubling that how it moves through the food web. And the one thing I think we all understand this, but it's the issue of the trophic collapse, where what happens is if one predator is eliminated or blunted, it releases the prey below them. And then that affects the food web up and down. And ultimately what you get is what they call trophic collapse, where the whole triangle can simply cascade downward. And I have a personal feelings about these. I think they're appalling, but that really isn't the issue for me. I think at this point, the state's already moved, and I think hopefully we're gonna see some public movement in that direction. I think I see what Newtown wants to do. I think it would be a good thing if we could eventually say, let's try and lead the way to ban them on like town properties, meaning the town green and the town hall, things like that. But I think what we could do right away is do it in the open spaces, because that we already have the authority to do. And I think it's a way, for want of a better word, to prime the pump. If we were to do this, I could go to my RTM members and say, this is what we've done. And we're gonna look forward to talking with you in the legislative committee, because it would have to be a very different process to do it to the town properties. We'd have to go through the RTM. Well, they would already have, even if they're not paying attention, it will signal that the subject is out there. And I think it would make it easier down the road, whenever that is. I would hope it was, I think Ted and Dabney are gonna be the ones doing the heavy, there. But I think this is a way of getting it started and in the public consciousness very easily. I just didn't want to spend a lot of time trying to teach all this. I think you're all pretty savvy about it anyway. But what is interesting is it's penetrating everywhere. It's penetrating the water, the soil. And you start to learn that these foxes we see around that have what we call mange, they're in a sublethal, their immune systems are damaged, and it's very sad. And I'd like to think that we're the ones that could take the lead on it. So I don't want to go on and on.
Well, I can ask Tim, do we regularly put out any pesticides in our open spaces?
No.
Okay,
No, it's pretty much it's
just more.
for
symbolic.
fair analysis, it's a symbolic step.
Okay,
And it's a way
I
of
mean,
getting,
I'm for it, but for purposes of,
I support,
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea to get it into the conversation because other things are moving along, so.
and plus we did the test with the boxes. But
Yeah, that'll be done in May.
That'll be done,
yeah,
okay.
that's all gonna come together.
It's been free in Fairfield for almost a year.
You're finding this stuff in birds that are on islands,
Yeah, I
middle
know.
of nowhere.
So I support it. I think it's a great idea.
I think it's great.
Go to the RTM.
All right, well, one step at a time, right?
Yeah.
So for open spaces is this,
Right,
and are you offering up any motion?
Well, I figured since I'm suggesting it, I don't think I'm the one to make the motion. I'm happy to do that, but
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion that we
With that.
pursue this as a policy. I wrote in the back. It's kind of pre-written. It's one sentence and there's one sentence about enforcement, and then there's a very detailed exception. Because we don't want to box anybody in, and if the health department determines that we need an exception, that's a good, why would we stand in the way of that?
All right, so. See
Is that a
what,
motion?
It is a motion.
um,
If you want me to, I would just say I would make a motion to establish a policy to stop the use of second generation anticoagulant rodenticides on the town-owned open spaces.
Second,
You want to say with exception, what's noted exception?
With noted exceptions, I would say with a full process for pursuing exceptions.
Right.
I'm not gonna interfere with that in any way.
Right.
It's not the intent of this.
and we have this memorandum dated February 22nd, 2026, which is on in the cloud. Tim?
Yes.
Okay.
Received on March 11th.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, thank you. Received March 11, 2026 by the Conservation Department. So just to be clear, that the motion that was presented by Commissioner Hood, seconded by Commissioner Luxinger, is what identified on page 6 of 6, policy enforcement and exceptions. That is what we are voting on. All in favor? And I think that's all around except for,
Jay.
I can't see Jay. Jay, are you in favor? You're there?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So that's good all around. Thanks,
Great.
Commissioner Hood.
Thank you so much. It's good to lead the way instead of.
Yeah, no, it's great. Great strategy. I love it.
It's, you know, I don't know if everybody, I know it's all over the internet, different parts of it, but there's these eagles and they have, you know, every year they have the babies.
Right.
And I think it was last year,
Cameras.
with the camera, one of them, you could just tell that something was off and that was what they thought it was. It was that, you know,
Shame.
just, it's unfortunate. So we're moving on to new business number 3, discussion of 2019 rules and regulations document. What's Tim, is this, is something you're?
I believe this was a matter brought up by Commissioner Fain.
Commissioner Fain, okay, Commissioner Fain?
Unfortunately, my mind isn't as good as it used to be, and I can't remember the context in which we brought it up. I know it was have to do with something that we were discussing in terms of what we allow and what we don't allow on certain properties, and I thought that the best way to, you know, those things were supposed to be in that document, but I can't, for the life of me, I can't remember what the exact subject was, so we'll have
That's
to
okay.
pass on that for tonight.
We kept it here, we were faithful, it won't be on next time, but if it comes up, let Tim and.
Yeah, no, I think there was a question about rules and regulations and what guided us, and I think I was pointing that was where we should be looking when we want.
Okay.
The context is Old Dam Road.
Oh, damn, okay.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, I think there was some. Anyways, won't belabor the report, but that's where if we want rules and regulations, we want to amend it. That's where we should be doing it.
Excellent, thank you for that, appreciate it. Moving on. Roman numeral 6, old business number 1 is a 980 High Street conservation easement. Tim?
This document got some feedback. It came back to the commission from Attorney Leclerc as a red line version. I provided that to the commission and the cloud as well. That was also reviewed by town attorney, who only had one minor comment. I can't remember which number, but was related to a mortgage, which would be irrelevant to us. That was not redlined. So that item is up for discussion as it relates to the easement already in progress and review for the 980 High Street project.
Okay. Commissioners, open to discussion?
Yes, I'd like to go on the record that I don't like it. I don't like the fact that they cut out paragraph 3, which was some specific prohibitions against pollution, which was light pollution, noise pollution. It seems to me that they put in a phrase to try and be all encompassing to cover, you know, every possible thing that could happen. And my concern is currently in front of the state Supreme Court. The justices are saying that the environmental law passed in 1975 didn't cover light pollution because it wasn't a thing back then. They're using originalism to fight having to comply.
Yeah.
Which I think is a bogus legal argument, but I won't get into that. But I would much rather have the pollution type of lighting spelled out specifically as something that they have to agree to as part of the conservation easement. I don't like the redlining of that entire paragraph being taken out.
I thank you for putting that on the record, but you can see where it could play out, right? So if we have a decision, Supreme Court level or the appellate court level that says this is how we're going to rule, we're opening ourselves up for litigation. So, right, so if we say we'll only get this conservation easement if you agree to have this in there, they can take an appeal from that, from our decision, and we would lose. I think it'd be better to have a softer hand than a harder hand, in the sense that we would always suggest that they put it in there, but if they don't, I don't think we can make them put it in there.
It's a form of pollution. All right, the purpose of the easement is to protect the natural resources of that space. And it's acknowledged source of pollution.
By whom?
by multiple scientific studies that I'm happy to cite that speak to the damage of light at night on natural ecosystems, especially wetland areas, impacting from the microorganism up to more advanced organisms. And I did pass out, or one of the items is a municipal primer, but there are links to the research in there that identifies that as being a source of lack of biodiversity. It affects reproduction, it affects feeding behaviors, it reduces the cycle between the plants and the pollinators of connecting. It is a source of pollution. It should be called out.
And I think you acknowledging it and putting it on the record, I think is an excellent thing. And I think you should do it for every single conservation easement that comes in front. I know that. And I'm telling you that, but I with this particular 980 High Street, I think the way I'm looking at it is we're moving forward with it through the old way, right? In the sense that once we get the new model in place that we all vote on, I think that should be in there. And again, with nothing being hard and fast rule, it's
Right, it's
a
a
model,
right, it's a position for negotiation.
So I appreciate that you're putting on the record that you think it should be there. They crossed it out, and our town councils have looked at it and they didn't uncross it out, if you will. So I'm glad that it's on the record, but I think
Right, well, I would not be in a position to approve it.
Yeah.
And my position is being taken as a director of Pollinator Pathway.
Yep.
As also a member of the board of directors of Lights Out Connecticut. And having done a number of presentations and research around pollinators and the impacts of light on those pollinators, just for the record.
yes. Thank you.
That's kind of where I'm coming from, and
That's good.
I'm again.
You've been an advocate of this for over, many years now, so it's understood and much appreciated. Any other comments?
Just for the record, Ted, I agree.
Okay,
And I agree with Ted.
okay.
Me too.
I just wanted to say, I read, and I don't know if Diane's there tonight, but she had the most input on this, and I'd like to get her
Yeah.
feedback on this, but just taking a step back on this a little bit. I know that in the body of the document, it says that we required a conservation easement. I'm not quite sure that's the way it evolved, because if you recall, this project was initially denied by this agency, and then we ended up where we are through serious negotiations. But I don't recall that we ever said on the original denial that we wanted a conservation easement, or we ever even asked for a conservation. I mean, I think it was offered at the time, and we didn't really even look at it. We really didn't discuss it because we were looking at a larger picture of whether to deny or approve the entire picture process or project. That being said, I think that if we had looked at this from a different point of view, going back now from what we've trying to achieve with the conservation easements, we might not have might even ask for a conservation easement, might ask for some type of different mechanism related to the site plan here, because as you know, this is a fairly small piece of property. It's unique, but it's not, I wouldn't call it special. It's isolated and it's not, available to the public. So it doesn't fit a lot of the criteria that we now look for conservation easement. That being said, I think we've accomplished a lot, in terms of what we want to move forward with in terms of stronger conservation easement and stronger protection for these areas, as you can, and as we'll see just in a little while. It's very important, and it's something that we need to do, and we need to get the stronger language. So in that context, I feel that we've come a long way with this. I do believe the site plan that is being approved, and Ted, correct me if I'm wrong, does contain language or does consider the light pollution aspect of it. So I'm not going to push for that. I'd like to see this thing get done. It's been a long road. But as we move forward, I definitely think, Ted, we should have the conservation easement and the light pollution language contained in that.
Yeah, I agree. The site plan is referenced several times in the redlined version, and I haven't seen that site plan. I would like to see it. Tim, if we've got that in storage somewhere?
You mean the management plan that Bill Kenny?
This overall management plan, the site plan, because the site plan did have lighting on it, and I believe when we did looked at the site plan, the lighting, we did have cutoffs for the lighting going
Dark
into
sky.
the.
Yeah, dark sky compliant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dark skies compliant, I think was part of,
I could circulate that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to just take a look at it if you want to email it to me, just to check the lighting component of it.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Okay. Any other comments, questions, Commissioner?
Before I go on my spiel, does anybody
You have
else
every
have any?
right to do it, and I'm glad that you're doing it. Please do what you need to do.
Okay, well, as you know, I looked at this in quite some detail, and I think the process was a little messy because we're proceeding on working on like our standard form at the same time as they're trying to do an easement. And so some of the things that our attorney came up with a couple months ago weren't picked up by the high street people. So, I mean, it is very detailed, but it's important, I think. For example, the attorneys added the first paragraph where they're defining the town of Fairfield as the grantor. They added a phrase that said acting by and through its conservation commission. So I think that's important to get in there. They also defined the word town in that paragraph. Which is important, obviously, because that word is used throughout the document and it should be a defined term. Somehow that got left out of the version that we're reviewing. The applicant also talks about a boundary survey in the recitals section A. And I'm assuming that they're referring to a full survey with a legal description, which is what it should be. But previously they presented a map and said, well, this is what we're going to attach. As
A survey and a map could be interchangeable.
well, from a real estate perspective, I just think that you have to have an actual survey with a legal description, not just a map of the site. So I don't know how we going forward, especially since this is in perpetuity, we want to clearly establish where is this easement.
Sure.
And you do that with a survey and a legal description. And it's not clear to me that they've done that, because in the end, where they have Schedule A, where you would have a legal description, they refer to description of the property subject to the easement. I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, no,
So-
it would need to be a meets and bounds description or a reference to a map that's also recorded that shows it on the map.
Okay.
That's what I no problem with that.
We obviously just have to be very clear about where it's located. Another thing that we discussed with Tim was this concept of having a baseline report, which just documents important information about the property at the beginning of the easement. And it's something that going forward, people can look at to see, well, this is what it was like when this easement was established. I think the applicant is thinking, well, we provided you with all this information in our application and that's really enough. But I think for the purposes of looking forward for other owners in the future, it needs to be consolidated into what in this, easement that we got from the state and the Connecticut Bar Association, they call a baseline report. So information should be pulled together. Whatever we have, maybe we need more information, probably not, but we can pull it all together. Just call it a baseline report and file it.
Kind of like a current state.
Right, where are you starting
State
from?
Description of the
Um,
environment.
And memorialize it.
Right.
So that's a concept that's brought up in various sections of the easement, that they deleted all that. I'd like to see that put back in, because I just think it's an important concept, and I think the way they're thinking about it is, or the impression I get is that it's about them and what they're doing, but it really isn't, because it's more about the property and the property going forward as it changes hands over many, many years. So that's the way I'm looking at it. I'm not looking at what they're doing or not doing. That's really irrelevant.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, as you should. It's-
I'm trying to take, the longer view
We're protecting the environment.
Yeah.
of what we should have in place. And hopefully this will be sort of standard going forward when we do these, so it won't be confusing, because we'll all understand it.
What are you calling it, Diane?
A
Baseline?
baseline report.
Yeah,
It's just,
It's in the.
Establishing.
But it was stricken.
Sure.
yeah,
But they struck that, and I agree, Diane, I think looking at us now, like 20 years from now, when somebody else is on this commission and if there's a violation, it would be nice to know when the easement was created, what did it look like?
So in essence, an applicant has come before us with a conservation easement for us to approve or deny. It's okay. That's what it is. And you folks can either make recommendations, you can do motions, you can do whatever you kind of want within the framework of what we're trying to do here. Commissioner Saunders made good points about her view, and maybe this commission's view is, we're not here to look for one applicant or look out for one applicant. We're here to look out for the town and its environmental well-being. So, I mean, you can do a motion where you outline what you would prefer to be in that.
yeah.
Or you can say, these things aren't here, and somebody can do a motion, accept as is, and we deny it, or we accept it as is because we approve it. So there's a lot of options here, but this is a discussion of it. So
I guess I I have more, which I'm not
that's
sure.
as long as the
But I think there are important points that people should focus on and decide for yourself, what you think. I don't think this easement is in a position to be approved tonight. I mean, I certainly wouldn't approve it as it's presented, because I have all these comments of things, primarily stuff that they deleted that I think should be in there. So, I could email this to people if you don't want to look
Diane, how will
now.
you know your list unless,
yeah.
I know you don't want to
I mean, is
read
it,
for an hour or whatever, but I don't know unless you
Yeah.
tell us.
is it simply,
I want your grocery list is what I'm saying.
Okay,
is that list pretty much everything that was in there that they just deleted and you want it back? Is that what it is?
a lot of it is, let me see.
Exactly.
Most of it is stuff that they deleted.
Paragraph 3.
Let me focus on what I think is one of the most important ones. There's a section 3 that talks about limitations and prohibited uses. It's a laundry list.
Yeah.
It has limits on subdivisions, developing the property, adding structures. talks about limitations on changing topography or vegetation, use of pesticides and water pollution, and it has restrictions on noise and light pollution. They also deleted the section about, well, they deleted the whole section basically, but there was something about enforcement, which said that if there are violations of this section, it's a violation of the easement and it would trigger some remedies by the town. So,
Right of entry, Diane.
you know, I remember I brought this up to Mr. Leclerc in a prior meeting. And he said something to the effect of, well, we're not doing any of that stuff. And that's fine. I mean, I'm glad he said that that's their intention. But again, it's not about them. It's about
Protecting them.
everybody else forever. So this is basic. It just has to be in there. I mean, I just can't see why you would take it out. And I think they're also thinking that, well, we have this management plan from Bill Kenny, but I've never seen that.
Right, that's
I mean, I wasn't even on the commission when this was decided. It's not a substitute for basic language on how they get to use the property or not use the property. That can be maybe something that's attached that illustrates what their plan is, but it's not that relevant because again, it's very specific to what they are planning on doing or what we may have required of them at the time of approval or disapproval, I guess. But we have to look at it in terms of what are the basic things that any conservation easement needs. And that is really one of the most basic.
Okay.
You know, for just to throw in a few other things quickly, they deleted a section regarding our right to install signs, markers. I think we've indicated as a commission that we usually want that. That's how we've made decisions. We've made requirements of other people who have come into inland wetlands. So I think we should be consistent. They deleted the section that allows the town to receive reimbursement of the costs of enforcing the easement. We could debate that, but it sounds pretty good to me.
So, but my sense is that we need to have a conversation with them. Right, this has been negotiated by two lawyers. They put in that paragraph, taking out paragraph 3 with a pretty general paragraph that basically says we won't do anything bad. Right, well, that's kind of what they're trying to get at. All right, I'd like to have a conversation with them about what exactly does that mean, and can you get more specific with respect to that particular clause? Because I think that opens us up to interpretation legally down the line that I would not want to be subject to. I think the easement as it stands is kind of stuck in limbo between our acceptance of the model that we want to use for negotiating easements moving forward, which is a separate conversation from this easement for 980. My sense is that they provided this easement as kind of a throw-in to the neighborhood to kind of offset the negative sentiment around the actual development. And they're just trying to get this thing over and done with as quickly as they can, which I get, I understand that. But I can't vote for it until we have a conversation. That's my position.
What's your pleasure, folks? I mean, if
And what, am I correct, was the right of entry to monitor, was that deleted as well?
What's,
5.1, I have right of entry for stewardship and monitoring. I'm just
um,
going along with this, there's just so much stricken.
what
Yeah.
section was that?
You know, and I,
5.1,
I had a hard time following the red line version, and it wasn't easily, you couldn't just download a corrected version. So, there was a lot red line. But I think all Diane's points are good, and I think, Luke, you're correct. We should continue with the negotiations, see what we can get or what we want to get out of this particular easement. Restrictions on the apps on the activities is absolute must.
And I think even though we're talking about a smaller area, not a huge, I think that this is a time for us to really use the language that we want to see going forward,
Absolutely.
So how about, as a way to move forward? I know it was between our council and their council. Maybe our council is our council, right? So maybe we didn't give our council the proper guidance. Maybe we can continue this for 1 month. And between all the commissioners, but not to each other, to Tim, kind of filter out what we want in there. Paragraph 3 seems to be a big one. And then say to our council, go back to their council and say, this is what the commission would approve. And see what the response is that way.
I'm comfortable with that. I think to let staff go back and
It has, we have to
give them an update.
Yeah.
Based on our sentiment and see if we can negotiate via our lawyer with that sentiment included and see what they come back with.
Tim, is that something that?
Yeah, I would all, to that point, make the suggestion that I take Diane's notes.
Yeah.
And that I go back to them and that we report the clean copy.
Yeah.
So everyone could be reading that clean copy, incorporating those changes, and start kind of with a fresher revised slate than this, like Commissioner Fain said, this red text is very difficult to comb through. So
I would agree with that.
Okay.
Well, Diane, I just wanted to say that one thing that concerns me is I do know that their counsel was presenting it. I kind of agree with you that, well, we're not going to do that. My problem is I feel like it's going to be an actively used wetland. There's going to be families there. The kids are going back there over time. I just think their approach is that we're not going to do anything. Nothing's going to happen. And I just don't see that as a reality. I think it's gonna get trespassed on, which is fine. That doesn't mean you can't go in there. But kids are gonna build their forts and do what they do in the woods, as they have done in Mill Hill and several other places in town. And that's why I just think this doesn't reflect reality, the way it's presented to us. It doesn't.
Okay.
And thank you for your thorough work, Diane.
Yeah, just again, I do want to make, I hear your point, Peter, but I do want to make it clear that conservation easement is in land that reserving, not for use. It's definitely land that we want people to enjoy and use, but it needs to be preserved and it needs to be maintained in its native state. But people are absolutely welcome to use the conservation easements.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
I agree.
Okay. All right, so then in that case, for old business, number 1, 980 High Street conservation easement, we'll continue it for the next meeting, Tim. Commissioners, in the meantime, after this meeting and before the next meeting, hopefully sooner rather than later, provide our staff, Tim, directly with your comments, concerns. And then I guess we can maybe list them in order of priority. What would be the ones we can't live without, and work our way down, maybe something along those lines. Because no matter what we do in life, I believe we can say it's going to be this way and that's it. Right. I think we should be somewhat flexible. Okay. All right, so that one's continue. Thank you. Moving on, old business. It's number 2 is 987 Banks Road North Conservation Easement.
Speak of this.
Hello.
Hello.
please give us some information, who you are, and what you're gonna be doing.
My name is Emma Dignati. I'm a lawyer at Wofsy Rosen, Queskin and Kurdiansky in Stamford. Brian Perry is here with me tonight. We're on behalf of the property owner, Beth Howard Associates LLC. Brian's going to talk to you in detail about what we're here to discuss with you all and to propose. But before we get into that, I just want to give you a brief overview of So the property owner owns 3 parcels, and you can see the first of them up on the screen. They're in sort of an odd and different configuration, so we wanted to show it to you tonight. This is 987 Banks North Road that's outlined in yellow. That's the subject of tonight's proceeding. Another parcel is sort of interior, you might say, to 987 Banks North Road. That's 975 Banks North Road, where the home is on this property. And then there's also across the street, now outlined in yellow on the slide, 990 Banks North Road, which is an undeveloped parcel. So the conservation easement area is sort of in the southeastern corner of the 987 Banks North Road property. I'm just going to zoom in here. And the property owner has developed extensive ornamental gardens across his property, beginning on the 975 Banks North Road parcel, bleeding into 987 and eventually into the conservation easement area as well. So I'm going to sort of scroll through these. The 2 that you see on the slide now, these are in the conservation easement area. As are these. Now I'm going to show you some others. These are not in the conservation easement area, but we're just showing them to you to give you a sense of the scale and the level of detail of these gardens. And just sort of to give you a little background on the development of these gardens, these were developed over a number of years. And from our client's perspective, whenever he had a tragedy or a health struggle in his life, he built a new garden. And he's had a lot of tough times these past few years, and that's why the development expanded outward. One thing that's really important to note off the bat, though, is that we don't believe that there's been any development in the regulated wetlands and watercourses areas. So I'll stop sharing and sort of just the issue that we're here to troubleshoot with you all tonight is the conservation easement encroachment. And our proposal on that score is a property swap, an easement swap. So our client would grant you a conservation easement that is equal in size to the current easement area on a portion of the 990 Banks North Road parcel, which is that undeveloped parcel across the street that I showed you. The issue that we're confronting here and that we really need to keep in mind is that to return the conservation easement area and the developed portion of it to its natural state is going to cause significant environmental disruption and significant environmental harm. Additionally, another thing to keep in mind is that on the 990 Banks North Road parcel, there are likely invasive or non-native species, which you don't currently have a right to require our client to regulate, but you could gain that right by, engaging in the conservation easement swap, which we're here to propose to you tonight. So we think it's practical and it's environmentally friendly, and I'll just turn it over to Brian to give you the details on the site.
Yeah, so my computer just died, but I have this pretty well memorized. So there was a violation issued for the property back in September, and I'm sorry it's taken us so long to get this in front of you, but we did have to have the property update. Well, it was really the survey, which took the greatest amount of time. I did have Anthony Zembo, who's a soil scientist from my office, go out there and locate the existing wetland line, as you can see in the map that is provided to you in the technical memorandum I put together. It's actually it's laid over on the aerial. Yeah, if you don't mind.
Yeah, not at all.
So we actually took Huntington had done the original development map when they built the property back in the early 2000s. I looked throughout the entire file. I'm not really sure what the genesis of the subdivision and why they cut it the way they did, which is a little bit curious if you see the way the property's been kind of subdivided out. Homer didn't remember either why that had happened. This is one of several houses he does own. He spends most of his time in Florida. That being said, he's worked with a world-renowned landscape architect that's helped him to develop the property throughout time. So I think this was a little bit of a misstep on their planning part. I don't think it was done maliciously. If you go out to the property, you'll see that the way the property is developed is really within harmony of its surrounding areas. It's not something that he went in there and, you know, bulldozed this over and in the hopes of kind of getting one by the town. He really has, there really is a holistic approach to trying to provide like an ecological lift for the entire property. That being said, when we did go out there and do the delineation, it does stop short of where the disturbance has occurred in the form of that garden. There is a pretty substantial water feature associated with that garden. And then there's also, you know, obviously ornamental plantings, some of which are native, but a lot of it is ornamental throughout the property. Before we were to go in and come up with a restoration plan for that garden, which I will tell you, you know, he was trying to preserve that in its capacity the way it is now. Could we go in there right now and come up with a restoration plan? That is absolutely something that we could do. We're taking this approach to see if it would be if it would be allowed with the commission to pursue trying to move the actual easement to a building lot that he has across the street. And try to carve out this area where this garden has been put in place. Truthfully, any restoration plan that would probably come back would probably be done by his landscape architect and not by Land Tech. They kind of called us initially to get us out there to review everything since we're local and working with his attorneys. That being said, we didn't want to just go out there and run out and survey and do all the delineation of the neighboring property. We did meet with Tim and Sarah and the owner's council out there to kind of walk it and basically come up with the technical memorandum that I've put into the record. If the commission were to allow us to proceed with that kind of easement swap, which again has been done in the past, we would go out and survey the property and do all the delineation and provide a case for why that provides a better functional lift for the easement itself. There is no long-term development plan on the property where he would be trying to subdivide this or build portions of you know, the lot. Honestly, I don't think you could even cut the lot the way it is nowadays because of the regulatory factor on the zoning laws. So we would like to be able to slice the easement around the existing structure that he constructed and then come back for a wetland permit for that work that's been done. So the property, and Tim will tell you where most of the wetlands are located, are in an area where it wouldn't be developed in the future. It's also in an area of the property where there's an existing gas easement that was recently cleared as part of a maintenance program. So that blue area south of where the garden is located. This is all within a gas easement, basically. That's why you can see it looks a little more cleared. But right now that's been completely cleared out by the gas company as part of recent maintenance. There is a survey that we did, the existing survey for when the easement was filed back in, I think it was 2000, 2001, when the initial house was constructed. That's when the easement was initially put on the property.
And to be clear, it's the green line.
Yeah, that green line, it's the, yeah, so the green line is the existing conservation easement. And the blue line is the wetland line that we reflagged and updated onto the survey. There is, so most of this other development that has occurred on the property, gardens and stuff. Not a lot of grading, so most of it would probably exempt from the wetland regulations. That one area that was shown, there is some additional. There is some additional, oh, sorry, had it sound set on my computer. There are some additional water features in this area.
Yeah, but
And then
that's not
back in
within
this
the,
area that were constructed.
that's not in the conservation.
Yeah, that's not in the easement, but the reason I'm bringing that up is because it's also outside of the 100-foot wetland upland review area. So it wouldn't necessarily need a permit.
So the issues really are that central.
This is the issue here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, Brian, I can't see what you're pointing at, so,
Yeah, sorry.
Do it on here. Can you see the hand on the screen?
yeah.
Yes.
That seems like.
Unfortunately, I just read the memo that staff presented to
Yeah,
the
thank you.
commission. I didn't know that was in the record. We're gonna review that, but you know, I think the other thing the commission memo said was that, you know, I do think it would be beneficial for the commission to come out and look at the site.
I agree too.
It is not a normal,
Goes without saying.
yeah, it's not a normal site. You can go online. There is some information. The name of the property is called Birdsong. So there's been numerous books that have been published through landscape architectural guide, you know, architectural established architectural digest, things like that. It's been published several times in several books. So there are links to the site if you type in Birdsong Fairfield.
Yeah, you know, I'll first start off by saying that, you know, I'm sorry to hear about your client's history of sadness and sorrow, whatever made him do these things. And I know it's probably done not a menacing way or a way that you said was to get one over on anybody. But personally, my one issue is we've seen many times where it's the third or fourth owner down the road that did something and then they'll ask for, oh, can we swap whatever. The one part that I'm having to struggle with is this is the original owner with the original conservation easement. And it's almost like, well, I didn't know, he's not saying that, I understand. I understand what you're saying, but that's kind of where I'm coming from, and I need to get to a point where, you know, what do we do? And it's almost like, not there yet, but it's almost like, oh, I did it, I'm sorry, forgive me, and here's this other piece of property. I don't know if that helps us, but we'd like to get to the right, I'm not saying anything is, okay, we're done now, it's not. We want to come out and see it, then maybe have some more discussion.
I think that's the best way to.
Yeah, I do too.
You know, and I might also add that, you know, there, I don't know if there's any function to that, the water feature, maybe I don't care, but there's structures, there's structures in there, and that's my bigger concern, right? So I mean, there's boardwalks, walkways. So for me personally, the idea will be, I want to look at those things. Okay,
Understood.
okay. I'm sorry. And commissioners, anything else that you guys might want to add?
Just,
I have a couple things to say.
yeah, go ahead, Jay.
So I'm echoing the chairman's observation. I really don't like horse trading conservation easements. We've seen this a lot be done lately. Once you open that door, I think you start going down a slippery path, and I prefer not to start trying to swap conservation easements or the land that the conservation covers. That being said, conservation easement is a document. I haven't seen the actual language for this property, but I would certainly like to see that because that would point us in a direction what's allowed and what's not allowed. Once we see that, if it's like the standard, I think it gives the commission some discretion on what's allowed and not allowed within the easement. We could have, I would be open anyways, personally, to having a discussion of if we could write a stronger easement to possibly allowing some of the improvements to remain in exchange for other considerations. That's something I would definitely be open to. I mean, right now I couldn't tell you what that would be because I haven't seen the property. I don't know enough about it. But you know, like as I said, conservation easements, there's conservation easements over buildings, there's conservation easements over parks, there's conservation easements over lots of different entities, and there's no reason it can't incorporate other features as long as we're done within the context of what we're trying to achieve within the easements, what I'm trying to say.
And we have done that several times for historical structures that were donated either in this town or other towns.
Yeah, I think this is a good starting point, and I think we will see. Happy to cooperate and
See it,
figure out, but
understand,
start with a baseline.
is the water features are all freshwater?
Yep.
So, okay. Is it native
Yep.
fish in there?
It's got koi fish, but it's not,
Invasive.
but triploid.
I don't know.
But Jay,
Looking forward to seeing the light.
itself does say it precludes the owners from activities such as gardening, grading, mowing, removing vegetation, constructing buildings, improvements. So some of that actually,
Is that the easement for this specific property? Because I don't have that.
It's on that, yeah, conservation easement, it's on page 2 of the memorandum, of Tim's memorandum.
And mine.
Okay.
And good, okay.
Right, and it's in the record.
So we're really gonna see it.
You
Yeah.
I
document.
think that's the,
I think the first step would be to see it. It's spring, so that's a good thing. Maybe we'll set up a time to head out. I guess through staff, we can reach out to one or both or somebody and have a site walk. If that would be okay. Okay.
can I just say one thing?
Yes.
In terms of calling out your application, I think part where you do the feasible and prudent alternatives, it's very well laid out.
Thank you.
Very grateful for that. Because I tell you, and I don't have a lot of experience, but you'd be surprised how many of these things come through and they literally leave that blank. So I just want to say that I really appreciated these
Thank you.
pages because it's very well.
Well, that's a good thing. That's a positive.
I mean, I
There you
think
go.
you gotta call out.
Kudos to you there.
right.
Okay, we'll continue this for a month, and in the meantime, we'll set up time to a site walk. I think we're back in the daylight savings time part.
Right.
We can just do it in the evening, so we'll figure out a time that is probably between 6 or 7 or somewhere around there.
So I've adjusted my circadian clock.
That's right.
Okay.
But, you know, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
We'll go with it. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Where's the, oh goodness, where I put my agenda, here we go. Yes, all right, so number 3 on old business is an update on Old Dam Road Trail.
Isn't that the punchline of a joke?
Yeah. Right? I don't know, one person there, Roseanne. Anybody here for Old Dam Road? Okay, so since I had asked for this to be put on last month's meeting, and that was from a prior month's meeting, I think this is where I will now call it. This matter is now closed in front of us, so it does not need to be on any further meetings. Okay?
Thank you.
Excellent. Number 4 on old business is municipal policy briefing, ALAN. Alan.
So I provided this to Tim. Really, the intent of this is for informational purposes only.
Okay.
For the commission. And the original document I thought had links to all of the research that backs up all of these policy recommendations. So if anybody wanted to actually look at the actual research itself, because that's part of what's alarmed me so much about the impact of artificial light at night, is actually seeing the research. So this is pointing to the research documents as proof points with respect to my intransient position, perhaps on lighting. So I apologize to the commission for that, but I'm passionate. What can I say? But this is just informational purposes, so you can look up any of the research. And if anybody wants to see any of these, I've got copies of everything as well, so I'm happy to provide it.
Excellent.
That's really the
People
intent.
become heroes at some point.
I'm sorry?
It's possible that passionate people become heroes at some point.
Yes.
Heroes are, I'm in the stockade.
Wasn't it?
One or the other.
Sorry, I was like. No, I talked too
Thank
much,
you.
but
Commissioner Buxinger.
You're welcome.
it was in support.
All right, very good. And moving on. Rule 7, open space land acquisitions, number 1 update, 377 Riverside Drive donation. Tim, I think you got good news on that one.
Yes, received executed documents today from the sellers or donators council. They will be filed on the land records tomorrow when we have title and it'll be ours.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
How much space is it, Tim?
It's about if I recall, 0.57 acres.
Yeah,
Over half
nice.
an acre.
Could be 2 houses down there.
Very nice.
Yep, that's part of our Penfield Mills and Ash Creek open space.
Very nice, thank you.
Way to go.
Number 2 update is 80 Congress Street. What do we got there, Tim?
In your packet, I just provided you with a proposal and executed purchase order from the purchasing department to carry out an appraisal of the 80 Congress Street parcel. You recall that's the one along Mill River that I'm working or collaborating with the church in Easton.
Yeah.
It's all riverfront property. And that's, I think, step 1 to know what dollar amount we could potentially be dealing with. And then make some decisions once we have that number.
Thank you. All right.
You've walked the property.
Yes.
Have you been able to get into the building, Tim?
And
Yeah, I've walked the property and be interesting to know what's in the building.
I've been told it's vacant except like toilet and I'm surprised that it has any plumbing. I don't know if it has electricity.
Yeah, if it wasn't industrial, there's no telling what could be inside it.
Yeah, that's as I alluded to at the last meeting, there's a looming need for a phase 1 and possibly a phase 2 site assessment, so.
Yeah, great.
Costs would go up, but I think the first step is to see how much is it worth first.
Okay.
Do we want to pursue it after we know that number?
Yeah.
Is that number acceptable to the church as a sales price? And then what? And then, so once I have that, the appraisal number, I'll bring it back to the commission.
Yeah, great.
For discussion.
Okay,
Good.
very good. Number 3, the current acquisition frequency rate is 2.50 months parcel. So still under 3. Very good. Now. Rule 9 is legal enforcement actions. Number 1 is 42 Enville Road. Tim?
As it relates to encroachment in a regulated area of inland wetlands as well as conservation easement. We have our latest update from Attorney Russo was they are waiting on the survey.
Okay.
That's pretty standard. Those seem to take a month or 2.
Okay. Number 2 update, kind of went through it, 361 Cross Highway.
Yep, that was would have no additional information on that other than what was presented earlier tonight before the agency.
And number 3 update is 30 Laurelbrook Lane.
Same, I got that as a wetlands and easement issue with the NOV on the wetland side. And we'll likely pursue a citation to get some action.
Very good. Roman Rule 10, staff report number 1, fiscal year 27 budget update.
Latest update, I believe I had not gone before the Board of Finance prior to the last meeting. I think that occurred in between. So I brought up the need for a boat similar to what I rose with the Board of Selectmen. Our current wooden boat was only supposed to last 5 years, lasted 10 with a lot of Band-Aids. I wouldn't want anyone in this room to be in that boat and expect that they would come back alive. So due to the safety issue, since it's been well maintained, but just way past its lifetime.
Yeah.
I made the request for an aluminum boat. I've worked with the First Selectman's office and the Finance Department to update the quote, which was originally 6 months old from the Shellfish Commission. I think I made the case with Board of Finance, and I think most of it would end up being funded without the need for the town to front more than a few thousand.
Okay.
So again, that's half of the 34,000 is being covered by the Shellfish Commission's fund. The other half would be on the department's budget. As also roughly 10,000 would be covered from the Save the Sound grant that we get every year for Unified Water Study, of which the boat for 5 or 6 months is required.
Okay.
To conduct the water quality sampling. So other than that, my next stop is RTM, and that's in the March or I believe April.
Okay.
So it's moving forward
Tim,
without too much pain. Yeah.
are we getting, how are we looking at for FIFs for the budget for that? Any allocated for that?
I met with the First Selectman last week. That budget is going to get discussed internally. I don't think we'll need any of the boards for to get that green lighted again. That's really been the holdup. There's a few contractors we owe money to, and it's been on pause just because from the election to the budget season, but I think that's gonna handle internally and we could get that started.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Tim. Number 2, miscellaneous reports. A is Old Dam Road Trail continued improvements.
So similar to my last update, the crew continues to acquire and collaborate with DPW's tree crew, who is constantly dumping wood chips from their daily duties down on Pine Creek Avenue. We're using those chips to spread to the new trail. At least to provide access, and it's soggy. We know that it's a tidal marsh. So depending on rainfall, depending on ocean activity and tidal activity, it could get pretty wet. So we have I would say another few hundred linear feet to go. We're out with the tree department tomorrow, who will bring us more chips, but what I've asked my staff to do is to accumulate as much as we can, so we could spend 6 or 8 hours there instead of going back, spread 50 yards and then wait a week, so that's the intent. And I'm, staff knows I want to get that open as soon as possible, so it's
Nice.
functional.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions, comments? No.
Part
All
of the uniqueness of that trail is it does get wet, and it is. I think it's unique, and I think it's an attribute rather than a detriment.
I think you're right. It's very dramatic in certain weather.
That's good.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, number 2, staff reports, miscellaneous reports. B, C, cause grant status.
Working with the finance department, our town's grant manager, we applied for a small grant. And those of you who attended cause know the Les Merhoff grant. We did put in, and I think it was the day before the cause annual meeting that we were notified that we did not receive it. It was for $1,800 for outdoor improvements at FIFs. where in the back would have been funded invasive removal, native plantings, and native plant educational signage. So sadly, we did not get that. Get that one.
I'd be happy to help out with some native plants, Tim.
I've got seeds.
Thank you. We'll
Got lots of seeds.
be needing plants, so.
We have we have a good source of plugs and a lot of stuff that we could dig out of our gardens and contribute to the cause.
Yeah, it was gonna be like a neat little, educational garden, walk through, scan QR codes on your phone, stuff like that. Doesn't mean that it can't be done, but it would have been nice to get most of it funded.
Okay, well, thank you, Commissioner Fain, for providing, or hopefully providing some help there.
We're happy to do, well, I think we had in the master plan that we had provided, we had a space for a couple of different educational gardens, and we're happy to help out with populating them.
Thank you. Commissioners, anything else on that? Okay, moving on to Roman numeral 11, other, there's nothing there, but before we end, I see you guys are here. I don't know what, you're not on the agenda, so.
We're not, and we wouldn't have been on the agenda, but we couldn't get the town to answer us, so we came to, I'm Chris, and this is Carl Linford. We live at 634 Bronson Road, and which is directly across from Mill Hollow Open Space. And basically, we're here because we'd like to discuss that Mill Hollow Open Space has resembled a construction zone for almost a year now. And when people come to my home, the first thing, especially the past since the beginning of the month, oh my God, what are they building over there? Well, they're not building anything, but the second bright orange construction fence went up at the beginning of the month. We're now 2.5 weeks in, and it's already falling down, and a hazard and a tangling hazard. And this is the second fence. There was already the one that was put up last April, and that's going to be there almost a year now, that had fallen down in August and repeatedly getting propped up, but left to fall down and look in disarray. So while we understand the need for restorative work, the continued use of the orange construction fencing in a natural open space is unnecessarily harsh. And we're kind of, with the contrast of the landscape. So in May 2025, a month after the bright orange construction fencing was installed, you guys were speaking about Jennings Beach and about fencing a rare vegetation to protect it. It was said, we chose dune fencing because of the sand and also because it fits in with the landscape more. It's not a 10-foot atrocious fence or bright orange like Mill Hollow. So as said, bright orange fencing is atrocious, and it's also overkill and unnecessary for this application. It's not a warning, it's not a danger. OSHA has designated colors: red, danger; orange, warning; yellow, caution. And open space is supposed to be natural and undeveloped. And it shouldn't look like it's being developed. So we've been very patient for almost a year now, waiting for things to grow in the meadow and riparian buffer project. But now seeing this bigger and bolder bright orange fence appear earlier in the month and already start to fall down, it's very frustrating. It's very wasteful, and it's inconsiderate for neighbors and residents who use it. So I'd like to show you some pictures, but I also just like to say a couple other things real quick. I know you've been here all night, and I really appreciate this.
Take your time.
But when the Mill Hollow plan was originally described 2 years ago, it sounded like a good plan. But actually what's been done is kind of different than what was proposed. So the paths to the river and the path to the bench in William Kenny's original design, which we really haven't been able to find, we've only been able to find the invoice, has actually became a very large open space in October 31, when a large amount of trees were cut down. So the tree removal description was understated compared to what actually happened. Creating this very large open space directly adjacent to the river kind of seems hypocritical of a riparian buffer. I understand that there were some invasives, But only 6 or 7 deciduous trees were replanted there last November. So nothing was planted along the riverbank, and now people and their dogs have been walking and pooping all over the riverbank. So I'm kind of wondering, we're wondering what, what is going to be restored? What other native plants are going to go for better erosion control and habitat value on the riverbank? And is it going to be before the growing season? Because the other thing was, the timeline was supposed to be before the growing season, and now we're going to be into the next growing season. And how long is it going to be? So I guess lastly, the other thing I'd like to just show you a couple pictures, and I would have brought my laptop, sorry, I wouldn't realize, but I'd like to just kind of show you what it looks like, and they would just have it down. That was the original fence. This is November after the mass tree clearing. And this is also no water, because we have no water because of our dam too. That's the other thing, but I wasn't coming to talk about that. This is March 2nd, when the new fence was installed. And this is today. And you can already see where it's all falling down. And this has happened all year long with the other one. This is what it looked like before. So while it greatly opened up the view shed, it has totally just damaged the view for all of the neighbors on the other side of the street, other side of the river. And so I guess my other question is, going forward, is when do you contact neighbors about work that's being done in some of these open spaces? Because throughout the other meetings, I've heard courtesy, conversation beforehand would have gone a long way. And I completely feel the same way. And I try to have a line of communication open, but Tim, we've met a couple times, and I just feel that it falls on deaf ears sometimes, and we can't really get any answers, and we're not looking, we're not harassing and, calling all this and that. Like when I call the town, it's because Aquarian is literally dumping asphalt on the Sturgis, town property. They don't get fined. Nobody finds Aquarian in their contractor for doing that. Or it's when the Connecticut, the DOT is leaving pressure treated wood on the railroad tracks above the river, and it's actually falling in the river because they haven't cleaned it up in a year. So I feel like, and when the dam is broken and we have no water, and so I feel like those are the times I call the town and try and get involved. But I had messaged him 2 weeks ago to try and see what was going on with this fence, and I still have not heard back. So I'm here because I didn't hear back. And we really feel, my neighbors and I feel like this fence is atrocious, as you said. And we feel insulted that you would say that and put this fence up.
Yeah, it's okay, yeah, so.
Oh, I don't want to become not combative either.
No, it's okay, you can.
Just want to know for the record, I'm just frustrated.
Just state your full name and address, please.
My name is Chris Linford, and this is Carl Linford. And we live at 634 Bronson Road.
Thank you. All right, so I mean, for purposes of what we could possibly do, don't know right now. So we'll continue, put it on the agenda for next month. And in that meantime, we'll look into it, talk about it. And
The fence replaced with something that better works with you.
that's one of the things we can talk about. So we'll we'll push it
Honestly,
next month.
if a conversation would have been had, we would have said green, brown, black, like that would have been fine. Dune fencing, I would have loved dune fencing. I would have loved a split rail fence. I would have liked rocks.
Okay.
I would have loved anything.
Appreciate it.
But not right on.
Thank you for bringing it to the commission's attention. So now we'll put it on for the next month's meeting, and we'll address it then, and we'll have conversations about it in the meantime.
So in the interim, as it's falling down, then what?
Just brought it to our attention. We'll talk to Tim, and we have
I'll have guys out there tomorrow.
we have crews.
Pop
and
it
stuff.
back up,
Mhm.
so the next time?
Yes, probably. So just so you know, yes. So that's why it's not, the reason that the fence is there is multiple reasons, but we will do the best that we can and have a discussion about it.
It doesn't need to be orange.
I don't know if it does or if it doesn't. I have no idea.
It need to be orange.
I'm not an expert in safety or fencing or what needs to be done or doesn't. I will find out.
Yeah.
And we'll have that information at the next meeting. Okay,
That'd be great, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you for bringing it to us and thank you for your patience tonight.
Thank you. All right, any other?
I have one other.
Yes, please.
I did one of my favorite things. Last week, I went to the Invention Convention at Osborne Hills School. I love it. Those fifth graders are awesome. And one of the fifth graders had an idea. He used AI to enable him to triage a pet's problems having eaten something that he didn't know what they had eaten. Okay. And it would give him things to look at to try and identify what the problem was, and then came up with a list of veterinarians and hospitals that were within a close distance of where the incident occurred. So that was a great idea. It wasn't one of the kids that I evaluated, but using AI to come up with that to help a dog or whatever that has ingested something, I thought it was a great idea. Good potential opportunity commercially. But I was thinking if I had a situation where a neighbor found a tree that had, found a bird that had fallen out of the nest in a tree last year. And he said, what do I do with it? And they asked me because I was on the, I didn't know what they should do with it. And so I used Claude from Anthropic to put together a guideline as to what a citizen should do when they come across wildlife that is sick, endangered, had fallen out of a tree or done something like that. So like just a little an internet artifact that we could potentially put on our website for citizens when they run into a bird that and they don't know, you know, who do I call? Where do I go? You know, I don't know if right now in the town they would go to the animal shelter, they call them first, or you know, what the process is right now. But I thought it might be a good public service if we could do something like that on our website to say, if you find an animal, and then it lists what the steps are, who you can call, who's responsible, and what to do, which is like, don't touch it, you know, call a professional. So that would be Dabney, could be one of the professionals that would be called, and there's also a place called Hope. I mean, there's a number. But just to have a pointer to that on our website as a public service. I don't know, Tim, I sent you the artifact. I don't know if anybody looked at it yet or.
I clicked on it. It did function. I got to the website.
Yeah, it just built the links, you know, where to go, and it was just a simple.
You know, I think that I appreciate your concern for wildlife, me too, but I think you'd find that that's well suited for animal control. I've actually gone to them a few times regarding wildlife, deer especially, and they were very supportive, very informative. Well, they could put it on.
So maybe you'll put it on their site. If it's of any benefit, I know I ran into it. I didn't know who to call or where to go. And, you know, so just to make it easy for people to find it as just a public service. Sure.
And I know the Audubon may even have a sign on their door, do not leave wildlife, you know, like, so things like that, you know. They might want, you know, something like that too.
Right, and there are rules. I mean, if you find an animal, you're not supposed to take it to another place, you know, for, you know, like invasive
No,
species.
I think that there is a lot of ignorance around what, yeah.
So I'm just thinking, if it's an easy thing to do, you know, whether we do it or whether animal control, you know, I think it would be a service that could be offered. That's it. That's just, it was an idea and
No, that's a good idea.
Okay,
that's it.
that's it.
That's it.
Any other comments? We're good? All right.